It's been a long old wait, but Red Dead Redemption 2 is finally available on PC. Well, kind of. Let's brush past the exited unexpectedly bug plaguing user systems with seemingly no single solution that works for everyone for now. But if you've managed to solve boot errors and launcher issues and actually boot the game, you can finally enjoy some gunslinging action in sharp 4K glory. Or can you? Red Dead Redemption 2 isn't exactly what Arthur Morgan might call a potshot in performance. In fact, you might just need an RTX 2080 Ti to run it anywhere close to high settings at 4K. But we're here to put all of that to the test. So join me, Jacob, as we corral the best graphics cards and processors around and see if they can hold their own in the rough wilds of the West. So let's run through the basics of today's testing. First off, the benchmark. Lucky for us, Red Dead Redemption 2 has an in-game benchmark ready to roll. Not only that, but the final pass, a police chase through one of the larger towns, is also a pretty darn representative version of the game itself. That saves us heaps of time trudging around in the snow trying to find one for ourselves. We're opting to ignore the in-game graphics fidelity slider too. Rather than simply high, medium, and low presets, Rockstar has opted in favor of a granular slider that adjusts settings to favor performance or quality. For today's testing, we're going to instead opt for a mix of medium and high settings with ultra texture quality listed on this here piece of paper, or two pieces of paper. You can also find the comprehensive breakdown in the article linked in the description, and of course we'll be disabling VSync and triple buffering too. We've carried out a few tests favoring both quality and performance, slider right at the top and right at the bottom, simply to gauge what we can expect. We found that while maximizing quality looked great, it performed notably worse than balance for only slight tangible benefit to visuals. Maximizing performance, on the other hand, was a major boon to overall FPS. However, with textures dropped all the way down to low, the game was a shadow of its former self and looked rather dismal. Sorry, but that just won't do. That's why we've settled for something smack bang in the middle. But don't fret if you find your card isn't performing quite as you'd hoped with the graphics settings we've settled for. We'll be delving into the best settings you can tweak to improve performance on a granular level later in this here video. As for API, Red Dead Redemption 2 has the option for either Vulkan or DX12. All of our testing has been carried out in Vulkan, but later in this video we'll be pitting both APIs against one another, so stay tuned for that too. One last thing, the in-game benchmark spits out minimum 99th percentile frame times as whole numbers. Therefore, the margin of error is a little greater than we're used to, so essentially they're best case scenarios. For our GPU testing, we're running the gamut of graphics cards right the way from the entry-level RX 570 4GB to the uber high-end RTX 2080 Ti. Let's take a look at the results. Unfortunately, AMD's RX 570 4GB didn't have enough memory to play the game at any resolution in our testing. You might be able to get it to work with 1080p by dropping the settings down quite a bit, but for the purposes of our tests, we just left it at 0. At 4K with high medium settings in Red Dead Redemption 2, the RTX 2080 Ti is unsurprisingly your best bet for over 60 FPS. The RTX 2080 Super will also get you most of the way. Most other cards will fall quite a bit short of the minimum frame rate required for smooth gameplay, and the GTX 1060 will only get you 22 on average. At 1440p, the RTX 2060 Super and above will net you pretty great frame rates, but anything below the GTX 1660 Ti won't get you very far. AMD's RX 5700 will also get you pretty admirable frame rates, so you can play that at 60 FPS with 1440p. If you're running with a GPU at similar power to the GTX 1060, then 1080p is your only bet for 60 FPS gaming. If you're struggling to hit 60 FPS in Red Dead Redemption, then you'll want to tweak some of your settings. We've broken down the ones which will have the most impact on performance, and dropping these down 1 or 2 notches can see your performance dramatically increase without noticeable visual degradation. If you can't quite hit 60 FPS, then turning TAA off and FXAA on will net you a small boost. Also, knocking your texture quality from ultra to high will get you a good bonus. If you turn off screen space ambient occlusion, that will get you the biggest bonus, and global illumination down to low will also improve your frame rates quite a bit. Most of these settings won't degrade visuals all that much, but they will increase performance where it counts. Red Dead Redemption 2 comes with support for both the Kronos Group's Vulkan API and Microsoft DX12. Both are marketed as high-efficiency communication to the metal, so we'll be pitting each one against each other to see which one comes out on top and whether AMD or Nvidia GPUs net any advantage along the way. When it comes to the choice between Vulkan and DX12, you want to go for Vulkan as it gives you a slight boost over Microsoft's API. There's one more consideration if you're running Red Team Tech 2, Asynchronous Compute. That can be activated in Red Dead Redemption via a small file tweak to the system.xml file. In our testing, asynchronous compute didn't actually benefit us in average frame times, however it did increase our minimum frame rates if we ignore 99th percentile for a second. Minimum frame rate increased from 29 FPS to 59 FPS thanks to this feature, making for a smoother gameplay experience. We've opted for two of Intel's processors for today's testing, the 6-core i7-8700K and the 8-core i9-9900KS. We'll also be testing AMD's 6-core Ryzen 5 2600, a Zen Plus chip, and its 12-core Ryzen 9 3900X to see how the Red Team's fare stacks up. Here are the results. Both Intel and AMD CPUs were plenty powerful enough to let your GPU just get on with the job. Intel came out with a slight advantage, no doubt due to its single-threaded performance and high frequency, but AMD caught up pretty well with the 12-core 3900X. It seems Red Dead Redemption 2 doesn't care that much for multi-core CPUs, which is totally unsurprising. What is surprising, however, is that AMD's 3900X managed to get higher minimum frame rates despite Intel having the slight lead in average frame rates. We hope that helps you get the most out of Red Dead Redemption 2 on PC. And if you still can't boot the game just yet, we found nuking Windows back to factory settings and deleting all our files did the trick. Or you could wait for a Rockstar sanction fix. Either way. If you want to talk about today's vid, join me in the comments below, and maybe think about giving us a like, subscribe, and all that business. Also check out PCGamesN.com for more from me and the rest of the team. Until next time!